goeasternathletics.com. We are here with head coach Karli Bustos. Coach, 4 matches over 3 days this past weekend out in Lubbock. There were some tough teams. You guys faced Southwestern Oklahoma State. They were 21-8 last year, so they were a good team. Fort Lewis, you guys played them tough, lost in 5. That was a tough match. Then you followed up with CSU Pueblo. That game you guys, I think, played 5 sets within 2 points just in that day against those 2 teams. Can you just talk a little bit about that weekend?
Well, I think it was definitely a tough weekend for us. I think from week 1 to week 2, we definitely saw a lot of growth. We saw some minimization in some of our errors in terms of like our serve ace to air ratio. That was a big goal of ours for last weekend, and I think the last game we were able to kind of meet that goal. Or we're getting closer to the 2-to-1 ratio on that. I think obviously Pueblo is a really good team, and I think that was a really tough match, and I kind of think that was the best volleyball that we did play on the weekend overall. When we played Fort Lewis, I think we had a lot of opportunities to kind of close out that game, and I think that's part of rebuilding is learning how to finish. And so we're getting closer in moments, but now we just have to make sure that we're inflicting our will on our opponents versus them inflicting their will on us, which is what I think Fort Lewis did. And Fort Lewis is off to a great start. I think they have only 1 loss, if I'm not mistaken, and so they've been playing pretty solid and they're confident. So I just think we're still trying to figure out our identity in that aspect. I do think we have a lot of youth out there. So I think over the 3 days that if you were to watch the games, you would see that I felt like we had kind of 3 different teams each day. So we're just trying to figure out the consistency and not how to ride on the highs and the lows, just kind of be have some composure and to be steady. So that's just part of the rebuilding process and being so early into the season, and something that we're going to hope to work on as we move forward here.
So moving forward to this weekend, you guys head out to Silver City again for the Lone Star Challenge. You guys have rematches with Sul Ross State and Western. Just from that first weekend to now, do you think overall you guys are playing better volleyball? And what do you think it's going to take for you guys to come out 2-0 this weekend?
I think overall we are playing better volleyball, but like I said, like last weekend we had 3 different teams, so it's just going to be kind of finding that consistency. But I do think we saw a lot of growth. If you just look at the Fort Lewis weekend 1 to week 2, there was a lot of growth in there, and I think that the girls were able to see and feel that. So I think that gives them and the coaching staff hope for the weekend. I think to come out on top is just going to be minimizing our serving errors, because when we saw these last 2 opponents, that was a big factor in the game. And then also just making sure that we're staying level-headed and just kind of executing on the things that we need to execute on. And obviously we've already seen these teams twice, so I think that's going to help, so that way the girls feel prepared and kind of know what they're looking for, and we know what we need to execute on when we face both of those teams again.
Yep. So again, the Greyhounds take on Sul Ross State on Friday and Western New Mexico on Saturday. Coverage can be found on Flow Sports. Go Greyhounds.